Spirit Halloween claims to be the largest Halloween retailer in the country, and it has been that way for quite a while now. The store itself goes back over 4 decades, but I would say that over this most recent decade is when they truly started to stand out. For many of us, it has become an annual tradition to go down there, check out the costumes and the decorations. It is a fitting name because it really does capture the spirit of the season. Every October, this becomes one of my most requested video topics, and I would say rightfully so. It is a unique business that does a great job in capturing the country's attention each year. A couple years ago, I think it's funny that just purely by coincidence, I released a video about Spirit Airlines in October, and given the time of year, some people were initially confused, assuming it would be about this Halloween store. A store that has continued to grow even larger from that point, by the way. This year, it is hitting a new high by opening 1,525 locations all across North America. It is part of a private company that does not officially report figures, but estimates have placed their sales around $500 million per year, 90% of which comes during the Halloween season. That is not surprising, right? They do sell stuff on their website throughout the entire year and operate a few locations year-round, but most of these stores are only there for a couple of months. They pop up, get a ton of attention, have everyone talking about them, and then once November 2nd hits, they all shut down and everyone forgets about Spirit Halloween as their attention shifts toward the next holidays. Though recently they have been experimenting with a new chain of Christmas-themed stores in the Northeast, saying that their goal there is to create a festive retail experience that captures the spirit of the season much like we do for Halloween. It seems to be a logical enough way to continue expanding after they have already taken over the Halloween market about as much as they could realistically hope for. I have to admit, it is refreshing to see a retail success story like this that is unlike any other, so for this video, I'm going to outline what I believe to be the biggest reasons behind the success of Spirit Halloween. Starting off with the founder of the company, Joe Marver. I have a lot of respect for him because he found success by taking risks, challenging tradition, and thinking outside of the box. Maybe his most famous quote is when he said, "I didn't invent temporary sales, but I feel like I invented temporary Halloween." See, in the early 1980s, he operated a typical clothing store in San Francisco called Spirit Women's Discount Apparel. Yeah, I know, it's wild that the store was called Spirit long before it had anything to do with Halloween. And since there was nothing all that special about it, it was not doing particularly well. But the business that was doing well, particularly in October, was the costume shop nearby. There were people lining up across the street to shop there. So when that store moved to a new location, Joe Marver saw an opportunity. The following October, he was able to pull together $18,000 from friends and family members and use it to buy a bunch of costumes and other Halloween merchandise. He temporarily put most of the women's clothing aside, made Halloween his core focus, and it turned out to be the most successful month his store ever had. The following year, we could see why he had even more confidence in the concept, so he rented out some dedicated space at a nearby mall. He says that they laughed at him and put him in the corner in a poor location, but quickly gained some respect when he showed them sales of $100,000 at the end of the month. From there, he continued to reinvest in the business and open more stores each year, mostly in the southwestern part of the country, reaching 63 of them by the end of the 1990s. That is when he sold the concept to a much larger company that happens to be the next reason on my list, Spencer's. I am guessing that most of us have been to a Spencer's before. It is a wild store that is found in almost every shopping mall that I have ever been to. If you're not familiar, I recommend checking out this video I made about them that does include a segment about Spirit Halloween because it has become a huge part of their business. In 1999, when the acquisition happened, Spencer's was on kind of a downward trend and was not doing much to build up themselves or the Spirit Halloween brand. However, in 2003, Spencer's was sold to an investment group, a new leader was put in charge, Steven Silverstein, a turnaround plan was implemented, and a big part of that plan was to expand Spirit Halloween. A decade later, Silverstein revealed that Spirit had grown to account for about half of their income, and given their continued success over the next decade, I would guess that percentage to be even higher than 50% today. I do not want to spend too much time on Spencer's here, but they took control of Spirit, invested a lot of resources into it, and turned it it into a national brand. They are the ones responsible for growing it from 63 to over 1,500 locations. Another reason behind their success would have to be the growth of Halloween spending. The season itself is more popular than ever before. See, Halloween really started gaining traction back in the 1940s during the baby boom when everyone was moving out to the suburbs to raise families. There were all these kids in the neighborhoods where houses tend to be lined up next to each other, so trick-or-treating became a logical way to celebrate it. Disney would then capitalize on that by licensing their characters for costumes, which further commercialized the holiday and made it even bigger. Then, years later, when those kids started having their own kids, their nostalgia for the holiday and desire to continue traditions sparked a resurgence for the holiday, and that has kind of been the cycle ever since. Today, oh my goodness, social media and pumpkin-flavored, well, everything has helped take things to even a higher level, to a point where people are spending significantly more on Halloween than ever before. It is now a $12 billion industry in the United States, and obviously that growth has been a huge benefit for the country's largest Halloween retailer. Spirit is the one that has emerged as the main success story in that market, pulling ahead of every other notable competitor, leading me straight into my next reason: failing competitors. There have been various Halloween pop-up stores over the years. Halloween Express is a big one that actually claims to offer the largest selection of Halloween merchandise available anywhere. I have to question the validity of that statement because they have always operated significantly fewer locations without ever being nearly as popular. But the most significant competitor over the years has been Party City, because Halloween is like their biggest time of year. In addition to hundreds of year-round locations, they also open a bunch of Halloween City stores each year. For the 2019 Halloween season, they opened around 250 of them, which I believe may have been their peak. Sales were down that year about 20% on a store-by-store basis, and they have not opened nearly as many stores ever since. On top of that, Party City, the overall company, filed for bankruptcy in early 2023. Plenty of factors can be blamed for that, but Spirit taking away market share during their most important season is likely one of those factors. Just going off of my own personal experience from visiting some of these various Halloween stores, Spirit has always stood out to me as being more fun to visit. They do a good job at creating a fun Halloween atmosphere complemented by all these displays and noises and animatronics, not to mention a wide variety of products. In fact, that is going to be the next reason on my list: variety. Again, just from my own experience, Spirit seems to have a larger selection than most of the competing Halloween or party stores, and certainly more to offer than the competing discount or department stores. They work to secure official licenses for costumes so you can buy the actual thing instead of a legally altered imitation of it. They also make sure to maintain that variety straight up into the holiday itself. They do that by storing most of what they do not sell until the next season, repurposing 30 to 40% of it, whereas the typical department store tries to avoid storing it in the off-season, so you may have noticed that things start to sell out as the actual holiday approaches. That is what makes Spirit more reliable and a great place for last-minute costume ideas. Steven Silverstein even went so far as to call this their secret sauce. Yeah, those are his actual words. They call themselves a one-stop destination for all things Halloween, so let me know if that has been your experience. The next reason on my list is, I'm guessing, the one you have been waiting for: pop-ups. It is probably the thing that stands out the most about them. Almost all other popular stores are going to be there any time of the year you try to visit, whereas Spirit will only be there for a couple of months. They employ something like 50,000 people for the season and are known for moving into empty buildings shortly after major retailers shut down. They say that they are constantly on the search for potential locations as soon as the previous season ends, but given the state of physical retail recently, I can't imagine the search has been too difficult. I cover a lot of these failing retailers on my channel, and sometimes I'll see a comment saying that that particular store shut down in their town and Spirit Halloween swooped in to take it over. I think it is so funny that their flagship store in New Jersey is so clearly in Old Circuit City. It is like they are so proud of their strategy that they want to show it off. Ideally, if a location proves to be successful, they try to secure it again for the next year, and that does end up happening about 2/3 of the time. They also try to place them in high traffic areas near other popular retailers, like a lot of them have opened close to a Walmart or a Target. You have to think that it is risky to expect customers to seek out your store at new locations so often, and according to CEO Steven Silverstein, he believes that the brand's strong name recognition is is what allows them to do that. Leading me right into the final reason behind their success: marketing. I mean, this is quite a logo that will stand out and draw your attention from the road. The stores themselves have an atmosphere that I would describe as a blend of funny and creepy, but in a good way. The company is active on social media with hundreds of thousands of followers on just about every platform, where they release some eye-catching content, like when Art the Clown from the Terrifier movies visited the store. Or another thing recently is Saturday Night Live made a parody commercial for Spirit Halloween that I recommend. It's very funny. It's on YouTube, where it got a lot of attention. Spirit then responded to it with their own joke about SNL, so you can see how all this has been effective in promoting the brand. Spirit has also made its own movie that was not incredibly well received. Critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes says it was neither a trick nor much of a treat. But still, not many retailers can say that they have a theatrically released movie named after them. These are just a few various examples I picked out of how the brand has gained attention and formed a distinctive identity. So there you have it. Spirit Halloween is the biggest, most successful retailer of its kind, and those are what I believe to be 7 of the key reasons behind its success. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts about Spirit Halloween? Do you look forward to going there every year, or maybe you have avoided it altogether in favor of one of the competitors, or just because you don't care much for the holiday in general? To me, it is like an indicator. When I see one popping up, that is how I know that we are officially into fall and switching gears into the Halloween season. Also, I'm curious about what you see for the future of the company. Will the Christmas stores be successful, or should they keep all of their attention on Halloween, where they have already done so well? And any other thoughts you have about Spirit Halloween, leave them in the comments. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Thank you for watching.